All right, gentlemen. So once again, we want to welcome you to Mastery. My name's Larry Crisp, and we may have some other people joining us. Looks like Nancy is here. Nancy, can you hear us okay? Maybe Nancy doesn't have her audio hooked up yet. No, she does not. All right. So Jerome, can you work with her a little bit and help her get that done?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Once again, here's what we hope to achieve today. In this meeting, first off, we want to make sure everybody's on the same page, that you all received your welcome email that has your login credentials so you can actually access the course material. Did any of you not receive that?
I haven't had a chance to look yet.
Okay, it would come in the form of a welcome email that's sent immediately upon signing up. When did you sign up, Michael?
Just a little while ago, just about maybe an hour ago.
Okay, so it should be in your email. If it's not in the inbox, make sure to check your spam folder and add us as a contact so that those don't land in your spam. It's going to be important to communicate, okay? So I take it that everybody else, well, Sean, you received the welcome email, okay?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, Nancy, welcome. Nancy, I was asking if you got your welcome email so that you can access the course.
I think I did. I haven't really checked. I've had a little problem this morning. My credit cards have come missing. So.
Okay. Well, when you get an opportunity, it would have come to you the moment you signed up, okay? A welcome email from us, and then it has your login credentials and where you need to go to be able to access our course material. Guys, I want to congratulate you for showing up here for one thing. We like to say 80% of success is just simply show up. And a lot of people sign up for these kinds of things mistakenly thinking it's some kind of point and click yourself to riches program. And let me assure you, no such thing literally exists. You just can't point and click yourself to riches. You need to be able to learn and employ some very specific skills to do what we do. But we'll go through that, and you're going to learn about that through phase one. Let me just tell you what to expect. Now, our objective over the next 24 to 48 hours is to help get you through phase one. Phase one is your discovery phase, or your due diligence, if you will, to really size this up, put this through a critically thought out process and decide, is this viable? Is this timely? Does this make sense for me and my family in our situation right now? That's the first thing you need to do. You're evaluating a business. So you're going to notice Mission suggests some tools and so forth throughout. If you've already opted in for tools and you're going down that path, it's okay. But right now, you should feel comfortable not spending another red cent on anything to do with online marketing. So if you haven't opted in for any of those things at the present and you elect not to until we meet again in the next 24 to 48 hours, that is fine. We would encourage you to hold off on that, because right now you're just simply evaluating this. If you decided, to go out and become a plumber because you have a cousin making $100 an hour being a plumber, you don't rush out and buy thousands of dollars worth of tools and find yourself the next day in some dark, damp crawl space full of spiders and decide, hey, this isn't for me, right? And now you're stuck with a bunch of tools. Let's get this done in the proper order, and I think you'll appreciate it a lot more. So manage your expectations. This is not the how-to portion of affiliate marketing. This is simply a broad overview so you can really make a determination whether this is going to be the appropriate path or not. I did send off an email with a link to a little questionnaire. It's only about 4 questions in there, guys. I'd really greatly appreciate it if you'd fill that out for me. Gives me a little bit of a glimpse of where you're coming from, what you're hoping to achieve here. We're of the belief you really need to start to identify with some clarity, what is it you're expecting? What do you want? What is your end game? If you can clearly define that, it just makes the job of manifesting these things a lot easier. The path is going to probably manifest itself. If, on the other hand, you don't have a clue what you're doing here, you're just here out of curiosity or with some ambiguous, reasoning, then it probably doesn't matter what path you're on. So we want you to be as clear as you can and really start thinking this through. But hopefully this is going to become ever more clear as you go through over the process over the next couple of days. Now, with regard to our introduction, I've been working with Mischief for quite a while. I've known Mischief for a number of years. I've been involved in this space, online marketing, for over 10 and a half years now. My son joined me in it when we decided to make a move in it. My background prior to that was investment banking. I owned a stock brokerage firm, and we did, investment banking services as well. So we evaluated businesses all the time, took companies public. And so I'll share with you a couple of tips that I learned during the years that I was doing that process. But I'm here for a very good reason, guys. I feel this is hands down the most lucrative, the most explosive sector of the global economy right now. And years ago when I was in the investment business, I employed a lot of people. I was responsible, for leasing a building and the space and, being licensed as a principal in a financial institution and shouldering all that responsibility, all the regulatory compliance issues that you have to contend with in that industry. And it was a little bit ominous. I enjoyed it. I loved the fact that we could help improve people's financial lives. And that for me, that's kind of been a driving force throughout my whole adult life. So, but I realized that all the wealthy people that I was managing money for understood leverage apparently a little better than I did, even though I was teaching that. I used to teach Warren Buffett's principle. He's taught for decades, if you do not figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're probably going to work until you die. And so I would emphasize that, because the idea is to create leveraged business assets that are cash flowing for you, irrespective of where you're at or what you're doing. If you're sleeping, you're making money. If it's dependent on you showing up somewhere physically, it's going to be nigh unto impossible. I won't say impossible, but it's going to be extraordinarily difficult for you to ever amass any wealth or any kind of financial freedom. That's just my observation over the many decades that I've been in this world. And I realized back then I wasn't adapting that philosophy. I was responsible for 35 employees. I was usually the first one in the office, the last one out, the last one to get paid after everybody else was paid. I wasn't leveraged to the extent that my wealthy clients were. And one day the breaking point hit me when a client of mine called and he said, "Hey, Larry, would you accept power of attorney to trade my accounts for me?" And we work together on the phone several times a week, usually, sometimes a couple of calls a day. He's very active in his investment decisions. He had millions of dollars in the market. And so when I got this call unexpectedly, I thought the man was sick. Something is wrong. And I asked him if he was okay. And he said, "Yeah, Larry, I'm doing fine. I've just simply decided I want to move to my home on the coast of Spain and write a book. And I don't want to be bothered for the next year." And it dawned on me, here's a guy that gets it, the creatively retired lifestyle. And I'll surmise it just this way, guys. Creatively retired isn't what we've all envisioned retirement, at least my generation. The objective might have been to be able to retire comfortably with a nest egg, maybe buy a house on the golf course at the country club and play bridge and golf and, just kind of ride it out, travel occasionally. And that world, for all intents and purposes, really doesn't even exist now. Unless you're in the midst of that, getting there is going to be a real difficult journey for you. Now, it's not impossible, but creatively retired doesn't mean walking away from work necessarily. The people that I know that are massively successful enjoy work. You look at somebody like a Warren Buffett, who's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. He hasn't had to work in terms of financial gain for years, decades. Yet this guy's 93 years old. What do you think he does every day? He generally gets up and he puts on a suit and goes to work because he enjoys it. But he does it out of choice, not because he has to. That's the way wealthy people operate. Now, working when you want is a key. That's the first component of creative retirement. You work only when you want. You aren't responsible to anyone else but yourself, and you don't punch a clock for anybody. Secondly, you only work with people you enjoy being around. I know some of you probably certainly encountered, jobs and positions where you're dealing with a tyrannical boss or a supervisor. Life is just simply too short. Why do you want to subject yourself to that? And so hopefully you can find that this can help assist, get you out of that situation quickly. That's our objective. And the third criteria for creative retirement, and this was my thoughts on it, was you want to be able to work from anywhere you want, anywhere in the world. And this is a business you can literally pack up and put it in your pocket and take it with you anywhere in the world. I've literally worked this business, just as Misha has, from beaches all around the world. My son, who's been creatively retired for a number of years, my business partner, he lives in the South Pacific on a little island near Fiji, that part of the world. He's 6,000 miles away from me. And I can go down there and I can sit on the beach and watch his kids play in the surf while I get my business done in 15 or 20 minutes. So this gives you an unfathomable degree of freedom. And if that sounds appealing, that's what I want you to start thinking about. What would it take for you to comfortably, creatively retire? That will be one of the questions that you're going to see on that questionnaire that I've sent to you. And I'd really like you to think about it, not just for yourself, but all the income earners in your household, anybody that's contributing to the household expenses. How much would it take to retire all of you, creatively retire you? And really give it some thought, because most people don't think in those terms. We're not talking about making millions of dollars here. We're just talking about how much per month do you think it would require? You know what you do right now, approximately, right? Most people can think in terms psychologically. They say that people can imagine maybe making roughly double what they currently do. But going beyond that is kind of an unreasonable expectation. It's not realistic, as they say. And that's just, a matter of perspective. It's subjective. It is not the reality. Understand, we got people that come to us from all walks of life. We've literally worked with people here, guys, that are making in excess of $1 million a year presently in a job. No joke. I had a number 3 with a Fortune 500 company. He was here because he wanted to find something where he can conceivably make comparable money, but have control over his most precious asset, which is his time, because his family was falling apart. The company expected him to be the go-to guy, hopping on airplanes virtually every day of the week and putting out fires around the globe. The business fires, so to speak. So, there are people from all walks of life here, but it is not a click yourself to riches program. I do believe this is going to be the fastest way of getting you to a point of freedom in your life, however. So, guys, let me get back. I'm going to share some slides with you, and we'll try to make this as brief as we can. A lot of people are here because they are up against it, or they recognize, hey, the economy is shifting. Everything's changed. Can somebody name for me the number 1 retailer in the world today?
Amazon.
Amazon, precisely. Can you walk into a local Amazon store, Nancy?
You can, but it's like discount.
Do you have an Amazon store? I've not heard of one.
Yeah, they're in Winchester, Virginia. They're like discount. It's like customers returning stuff, and they make a couple bucks off of it.
Okay, so I'm wondering if that's actually an Amazon store, or they just are an Amazon reseller. It might be a reseller, because Amazon doesn't have retail stores.
No.
Yeah, so it's all done online, believe me. And Walmart, it's reigned supreme at number 1, at least in the United States, for decades. Different model, right? Thousands of stores, hundreds of millions of square feet of space stacked with inventory and driving traffic to those stores. Amazon is done all online, digitally. Now, it's the number 1 retailer in the world. Guess what business model they've used to arrive at number 1? Affiliate marketing, just what we teach you. Okay, so what you're looking at is moving toward the digital economy. Elon Musk says roughly 9 out of 10 jobs are likely going to be obsolete or altogether gone by the end of this decade because of this movement in the economy to the digital side. So you guys are on the right track. You're looking at the digital side of the economy and positioning yourself appropriately. But I pulled this up a couple months ago, this little headline that said that the average American household needs, almost $12,000 more per year in order to keep pace with what their lifestyle did last year. It's probably on track to even surpass that in 2024. So I don't know about you. I don't know a lot of people got $12,000 raises. This is not a new phenomenon. It's been going on for years. The average American household goes $5,000 deeper into debt with each successive year for many years preceding this. Now it appears to be going a lot faster. And just for the sake of recognizing where we're at, I really am of the belief that there was a famous general years ago that said the first rule of war is to know when you're in one. And we're simply in an economic war of sorts right now. Some people are calling it the silent depression. Doesn't matter what you want to call it, but we're definitely in some challenging times. And I came across this guy's video here a couple of months ago as well, and I thought it's only a minute long, so I thought I'd share it with you so you kind of get a glimpse. It's hard to knock the numbers that he's putting out here. So let me give this a play. If it decides to roll.
We are in a silent depression. When you compare the Great Depression to today, this is going to absolutely blow your mind. In 1930, during the Great Depression, the average home in America was $3,900. The average car was $600, and the average monthly rent was $18 or $216 a year, and the average salary was $1,300 for the year. Fast forward to today, it is $436,000 for the average home, $48,000 for the average car, and the average rent is $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year, and we have a $56,000 income for the average American right now. So if you look back to the Great Depression, the house was only 3 times the average salary. Now it is 8 times the average salary. The car was 46% of the salary. The car today is 85% of the salary. And here's the craziest part. The rent was 16% of the average salary. It is now 42% of the average salary.
Okay, guys, I don't know how you feel about that, but I think he's right on. And I think this is recognizing the facts as they are on the ground right now. And I think it's important to recognize that. And I don't point this out to be all doom and gloomy, because really the point of this story is the silver lining around it. Because even during the Great Depression of the 30s, and a lot of people, most people aren't aware of this, there were more millionaires created during that period of time per capita, more millionaires than at any other time in our history. And you can research it and find out that it is in fact the truth. And you got to ask yourself, now, why did that happen? I'm of the belief those people had the foresight, the wisdom to position themselves on the right side of the economy. They were not resistant to the challenge of making a change. And you guys are smart enough to be here. You're looking at making a change, and I respect that highly. So we want to work closely with you. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to want to get together with you within the next 24 to 48 hours again. Our objective is to get you through phase 1, and then we will meet. So I want to get that implanted here. That's our mission statement here for the next couple of days. Now, when you get logged in, and I know not all of you have, but we're going to encourage you to do that today. Try to get yourself logged in and started on this. It's not going to be painstaking. This will be where you land. And there's a little 5-minute introduction video with Misha, and you can access the training by clicking the green bar here. All of you should receive texts from me from the 808-379 number. And I'm going to ask you to save that number. It's going to be the best way to communicate with me is via text. It's real time. We don't have to wait for hours for me to circle around and look at email or something like that. In fact, I fret over email that it's going to get lost, fall through the cracks. So don't bother with that. Please keep it in real time. You send a text, it hits us, within seconds, and we can respond promptly. Not only do my eyeballs at least eventually see it, but my assistants will see it as well, Jerome and Matthew, that work with me. So with that being said, now, as of today, we've got you all unlocked through Module 5 and a bonus webinar following Module 5. This is what comprises of Phase 1. This is our objective, our mission over the next couple of days. We'd like to get you through with this and meet with you. We'd sent you off a text that should have hit your emails, as well as an email where you can book or schedule our next meeting, okay? And we'll get down into the weeds on this a little bit more deeply with you and get to know you a little bit better. Now, this in total is about 3.5 hours of time. It's a chunk. And so we are total respecters of your time. In fact, we feel that time is your most precious asset. It should rank number 1 as your personal assets go, because assets, stuff in your life can be replaced. Time cannot be. So we respect the fact that people should look at it and be very careful about where and with whom you spend it. So I encourage people to speed this up, not only for that reason, to respect your time, but also the fact that it turns this into a speed reading session if you speed the videos up. And you can do that simply by clicking on this little gear down here. You do this with each new video. When you pull it up, if you click on that, a speed control will pop up and you can set the speed. And I'd suggest try listening to Misha first at 1.5. You'll select a 1.5 and listen to it. And your brain, your ears will make an adjustment, and you will probably find within a minute, you're going to be very comfortable. You're going to recognize everything he's saying, and it's going to be at a real pleasant pace. Once you're really comfortable with that, I'd suggest go back and click on it again. Try 2.0. That's effectively doubling the speed. So I know it seems counterintuitive to really learning something, but the reality is it is just like speed reading. Speed readers, they've known for years, actually retain the information and have better recall, more command of the information than people that read at normal speeds, people that are taking exhaustive notes. So this does not lend itself to taking notes, by the way. So I recommend have a pen and pad handy and write down questions as they occur to you. Okay, you'll check them off. Mish is really thorough, so you can cross out a question once it's answered, but there may be some remaining ones, and we'll discuss those in our next meeting, okay? But so not only are you going to learn this much better, but you are in fact honoring your time. This is why I haven't worked for anybody else, quite honestly, as an employee my entire adult life. I can never figure out, since I was 11, I can never figure out why a person would sit across from somebody, a potential employer, and give them the power to decide what they think my time is worth. If you look into it, the average American hourly wage is, well, I looked at it last year and I don't think it was right. It said it was $11.03 an hour. And I thought, my gosh, a single person in a studio apartment can get by on $11 an hour. But nevertheless, I thought about it a little harder and realized, it could be $22 an hour. It probably wouldn't matter. You'd still probably just be treading water. Yet 9 out of 10 Americans willfully trade their most valuable asset for money. And that's what you need to break away from. You need to start operating like wealthy people do. That's in essence what you're doing here. You're starting to separate yourself physically from your source of income. It got me to thinking a little bit deeper on this affiliate marketing stuff, and the world's biggest affiliate marketer being Amazon. What do you suppose Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, makes per hour if you were to break down his income annually? Any guesses? Nobody has a guess? Can't hear you, Margaret. I think I see you saying something. Okay, you're muted out. Well, let me tell you, if you had Jeff Bezos working 24/7, 365 days a year without a break, he would be earning almost $9 million an hour, over $8 million an hour. And then you've got to ask yourself the real serious question: is Jeff Bezos' time worth anything more than your time is? That's what we're getting at. It doesn't have anything to do with, his value. Your time is every bit as valuable as his is. He's just figured out a better mechanism of leveraging his time. That's in essence where you're moving. And you're getting into the slice of, as I say, the most lucrative sector of the global economy right now. So a couple things I'm just going to leave you with here. We want you to begin with the end in mind. When you're looking at a business, as the first tip I would suggest is ask yourself, what's the best, most probable outcome? And you can do this. You can do a little individual homework. Don't believe everything I say or everything Misha says or everything anybody says. Do your homework. Do a little bit of research. You're talking about your life, your time, your most valuable assets here. And, do a little bit of digging to determine what is the best, most probable outcome. Then you've got a basis to do a comparative analysis. You can look at thousands of other things out there that you could apply your time and energy to. Why does this make more sense than all those other things out there, right? I think it's just honoring yourself. You also want to be looking into the opportunity cost. In other words, I do kind of a drive-by analysis when I'm first looking at a business. I don't want to take weeks of time and dive into their books and the machinations of the business and everything else. I want to figure out approximately how much time and how much money is it going to take for me to arrive at a specific goal. Maybe the goal is to pay for the business. Maybe the goal is creative retirement. How much time and money is it going to take for me to become creatively retired? And if you've got a replicated kind of a business model that's working out there, you should be able to reverse engineer that and figure it out. Can you arrive at creative retirement doing what you're doing right now? Okay, most people haven't even thought about that. But evaluate the opportunity cost. Then you can do some comparisons. Years ago, my son came to me, the oldest son that's a business partner with me. He asked me when he was in high school if I'd stake him in a hot dog stand. He wanted to get in business, and he thought a hot dog stand looked really fun. And we sat down, we broke out the numbers, and it was interesting. We figured out that the average hot dog stand is going to probably run, well, if you look it up online, it can widely vary, but depending on the equipment that you get, it's somewhere between $5,000 and $28,000. So let's just say, for the sake of averaging it out, let's say $12,000 is basically kind of where I established it at that time. And then we figured out, hey, you're going to net about $1 off of a hot dog sale. You're going to be standing in the hot sun in a seasonal business when the sun's shining. You're going to have get permits and agreements with places where you're going to set up your stand, outside of a Lowe's or something like that, or a Home Depot. And during those months, you're going to have to make, hey, how many hot dogs do you think you can hand off each day and make $1 at a time? It's going to take 12,000 hot dogs approximately just to pay for the stand itself. And there are going to be ongoing expenses. So now you've got something to work with. I did this with McDonald's a couple of years ago, back in February of 2022, 2 years ago. I've got friends that bought McDonald's franchises, about 4 of them over the years that I've known. And all of them spent over $2 million just in the startup phase before they opened their doors. And I thought, well, let's do a comparative analysis so people understand how to do this little drive-by opportunity cost evaluation. So I want to know how long it's going to take for me to get a return on that investment of $2 million. How long it's going to take for me to get it back. So the first thing I looked into was how much a franchisee makes on average annually. And this is the number that came up. And honestly, my heart sank. I had a close friend that saved his money for 20 years to buy McDonald's. He just felt it'd be the most secure, bulletproof thing he could provide for his family. He thought if he could get into a McDonald's, he'd be set, he could fall off the face of the planet and his family would be okay. I admired him. He's a mentor to this day. Great guy. He was a corporate executive, did pretty well. But when I saw this number, I realized, my gosh, he's just making probably comparable money to what he did in the corporate world. But our last conversation kind of went like this. He said, Larry, I'm working harder now than I ever have in my life. I'm down there every day. I haul trash. I mop floors. I flip burgers. I do whatever it takes because I've got 75 people I try to keep on, but every day somebody doesn't show up. Most weeks I have people that quit. Sometimes they don't even bother telling me. They just simply don't show up. And so real volatile. And I felt bad. He was working so hard. At that time we had that conversation, I hadn't pulled this data up. But my gosh, there are better ways, guys. A lot of people would look at this and they'd be patting you on the back. All your friends and family say, wow, Johnny's made it. He's got a McDonald's franchise. In reality, he just bought himself a job for $2 million in my mind. So you got to look at that opportunity cost. I pulled up at that time back again, February, the same time I pulled this data up, I pulled up the average income for an affiliate marketer. Now, this is not to indicate to you at all that this is what you're going to make. And again, these were just simply averages I asked for. But, this number has gone up. I don't know that this number's gone up. This number went up substantially over the subsequent 12 months. But what's exciting about affiliate marketing is the fact that it doesn't cost much of anything. In fact, it's hardly, measurable against a McDonald's or a traditional career path for that matter. Most people have grown up with this idea of getting a good education, find a profession. I had a doctor friend of mine in Tucson, Arizona, where I've lived the last few years. And he's had a family practice for a number of years. I think he's a multi-generational physician. His daughter started college here the last couple of years, and she's planning on being a doctor. And he said she'll be in school for 10 to 15 years. So it's a huge chunk of time, prime years of her life she's dedicating to this career path. He said, moreover, the education will cost a minimum of $1 million. And so I'm thinking, okay, 10 years, $1 million. What's the best, most probable outcome? And I didn't have the guts to ask him. We're friends. I just didn't want to ask him how much he was making. It just didn't seem to be an appropriate time. But I did look up what the average physician in Tucson, Arizona was making at the time. And as you can see here, at that moment, the average physician doesn't make as much as the average affiliate marketer was at this moment. So the whole reason for doing this type of exercise, guys, is first to determine, is this worthy of a front place or a place on the front burner of your life, so to speak, here for the next day or two? I want to suggest to you it absolutely is. Not only is it going to be an inexpensive business model, probably in the world of risk reward, the least risky of businesses you can do across the board, not just online. I'm not speaking of just online businesses, but just about any business you want to run against it. This is part of your due diligence, if you will. Now, if we could help get you these skill sets, should you decide you want to move forward after phase one, we'll get you on a fast track. We'll put the pedal down and start working with you closely to help you get a cash flowing business asset under your belt over the next 60 to 90 days. But more exciting is the fact that you should see light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to have a clear business plan that is showing you how you're going to arrive at creative retirement, ideally maybe over the next 12 to 18 months. But you've got to decide, what is creative retirement for you? Is it going to take $25,000 a month? We can help reverse engineer that. We can show you how you build a business here, what's going to be required of you to get to $25,000 a month. That's our goal in working with you. But you've got to determine, is this worthy of your time? That's all we're asking right now. We'd ask you to remain focused. Many people out there have fallen prey to this, technologically driven society. They don't have the ability to focus any longer. They say, according to studies, the average person doesn't have the attention span of a goldfish. Goldfish can focus on something for 9 seconds. I applaud the fact that you've endured this for this amount of time. But focus is really going to be key to creating and maintaining any level of momentum. So you want to keep this momentum going, okay? And the whole point of phase one is for you to make a viable, critically thought out decision for yourself. Okay, decision, by the way, decisiveness is the #1 shared characteristics in study after study, shared characteristic of successful business people. They are decisive. So I think if you're a focused decision maker, quite honestly, you're probably in the upper 2 percentile of the general population. You probably succeed at anything you want to do, whether it's this or something else. I just simply am putting this out there so you're aware of it. It's easy to get caught up in the moment. Our norm in society now is that we're immediately distracted and we're trying to multitask. It's way, way overrated. You want to just remain focused. If you double the speed on this, you're going to be done with phase one in less time than it takes you to watch a movie on Netflix tonight. Okay? You've got to decide, is this worthy of it, of that 2-hour commitment? I want to suggest to you, absolutely is. Okay? So speaking of decision, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich published 85 years ago. They knew then that decision was the #1 characteristic. He dedicated a whole chapter to it. And he found in his research that wealthy people have a habit of reaching decisions promptly. And then they change their minds slowly. Whereas people that fail to make money, without exception, had a habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly. And then they change their mind quickly and often. That's 9 out of 10 people that you and I know. If they make a decision at all, they're changing their mind, quickly. You cannot afford to behave that way. The first rule of becoming wealthy is start behaving like a wealthy person. Let's get those characteristics developed. So that's why I stress this so heavily. But I think that's enough of my admonitions here. So guys, I'm excited to be working with you. Do you have any questions for me right now? Nancy, where are you located?
Ocala, Florida.
Ocala, Florida? Okay, cool. What do you do now?
Nothing.
Okay, fair enough. Michael, how about you? Where are you at?
Gunnersville, Alabama.
All right.
I cut trees right now.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well, I'm excited to hear, what brought you here? What made you decide to look in this direction?
Just getting on up in my years a little bit, It's not as easy to do those things as it used to be.
Yep, absolutely. Gotcha.
The incident past that's, kind of had me broke up, so it ails me a lot.
Oh, well. Okay, well, I'm glad you found us. I think you're gonna find probably, you know, some answers here for yourself. It can make
Right
some
on.
sense. Sean, how about you, sir? I know you're at work. Can you unmute? Tell us where you're from. If you can't,
Oh, I'm from Canada, Toronto.
okay, great. Looks
Yeah.
like you're in a warehouse or something.
No, I'm in a wood shop. I do kitchen cabinets. and
Okay.
cupboards. Yeah, so I do.
Cool. Well, great. Well, guys, once again, thank you very much. Now, here's the instruction. We've texted that link to schedule our next meeting. Some of you are familiar with establishing SMART goals. SMART are measurable, obtainable goals with a timeline on them. And so we want to be able to get scheduled with you for our next meeting. That means I'd like to see you get done with phase 1. So if you can think it through, make a decision. I'm going to have this 2-hour block of time done and schedule a time with Larry. The link to my calendar has been sent to you via text and email. If you can get that scheduled with me today, if you're feeling comfortable, you can have it done by tomorrow, then by all means, go ahead and shoot for tomorrow. But I'd like to kind of set the ideal timeline within 48 hours. So we'd like to be able to see you on Saturday and follow up with you at that point. And if, you know, if there's some scheduling issues with that, just let us know and we'll get it worked out. But does that work for all of you okay?
For me.
All right, guys. Hey, well, listen, thanks again. Hope you have a blessed day, one and all. We'll look forward to seeing you here in the next day or two. Remember to text me if anything comes up, and I will see you shortly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care now. Bye-bye.